Hello, welcome to Kirsty's Pilates. And this is just a very, very basic video for total beginners or for anyone that wants a little bit of a refresh of the basic positions of Pilates and principles. I'm just gonna do a lying down position and I'm just gonna go over some of the basic things that you need to know before you start. Okay. So if you're just going to be doing a mat work class, lying on the floor, this is the position that you're going to be in. So your feet want to be hip distance apart, facing forwards. Your feet are nice and parallel. Your knees are nice and parallel as well, in line with your feet. And then you're going to imagine that your pelvis is like a bowl of soup and you're going to tilt it forwards and backwards. Imagining that the soup is going to tip out this way and then it's going to tip out that way. So if you put your thumbs by your belly button and your fingers on your pubic bone in a diamond shape, and you're just going to tilt forwards and backwards, you should hopefully be able to see that. Tilting forwards and backwards, your bowl of soup, which is your pelvis. So you're going to make those movements a little bit smaller. And then you're going to come to rest in the middle position. Now in that middle position, your hip bones and your pubic bone should be level in a nice triangle. What you don't want is your back to be sinking down, the small of your back to be right down into the mat, because that means your tailbone's up. And what you don't want is a great big arch underneath your back. So it's the middle position. Everything is nice and flat. Hip bones and pubic bones in a nice level triangle. You should have a little bit of a gap underneath your back, enough to slide a piece of paper or your hand underneath. And that position of your pelvis is your neutral spine position that you need to try and start every exercise. When you're lying on your back, you need to try and start every exercise in this position. If it feels like your back is too arched in that position, try to keep your pelvis nice and still. Don't move your pelvis. And then relax your ribs down a little bit. So if your back's too arched, pelvis is still, keep the pelvis still, don't let it tilt, don't let the tailbone lift up, relax the ribs down. So you're still in a neutral spine position, but it's a little bit more comfortable without a big arch underneath your back. Your ribs want to be focused down towards your hips. So the distance between the top of your hips and the bottom of your ribs stays the same no matter what movements you might do. You're keeping that nice and still. Your shoulders want to be down away from your ears. So your shoulders are nice and relaxed and you're drawing them down away from your ears. And your arms are relaxed and your neck is nice and long. Imagine that somebody's just taken hold of your head and just gently pulled it back, lengthened it away, lengthened your neck and placed it back down. So your neck is nice and long. That's the basic position that you want to start your exercises in this, your lying down exercises in. I'm just going to talk to you about the pelvic floor and the tummy. So I'm just going to sit up to do that. So, pelvic floor muscles. So, imagine the sling of muscles between your legs, and that's your pelvic floor muscles. And when you're doing Pilates, you need to have them tightened up. So, you want to tighten them up, and you want to imagine that it's like a lift. So, you're going to draw them up like a lift inside you. Hopefully, you can feel it. And you draw them all the way up. Imagine they're going up floor by floor, all the way up to the 10th floor on the lift. You won't be able to keep them there, so you're going to let them go back down to the 5th floor on the lift. It's quite tricky when you're first doing it, but you get used to it. And then maybe take them a little bit more down, so maybe they're on the 3rd floor. So your pelvic floor muscles, you're tightening them up as if you're stopping yourself having a wee, and you're going to just lift them up and try to settle them on the 3rd floor. It's really difficult to keep them exactly there, but if you can just think about lifting them up a little bit and trying to hold them there, that will really, really help. So your pelvic floor muscles are lifted, they're contracted up to about 30%. That's what you're hoping for. Whilst you're doing that, you're hopefully not tensing anything else, so hopefully your buttocks are not tensing up. I just felt mine tensing up. when I did it. So that's your pelvic floor muscles. Your tummy, obviously really, really important. Imagine that you have got a belt around your middle, and you're gonna squeeze this belt in really, really tight. You're gonna pull your belly button in towards your spine, and you're gonna tighten the belt up as far as it will go, up to the 10th notch on the belt. So you're really, really squeezing your tummy in. You won't be able to hold it there and you won't be able to breathe, so you're gonna let it back out to the 5th notch, so it's halfway. And then you can let it back out a little bit more, so maybe it's on the 3rd notch. So your tummy is squeezed in 30%. Again, it's really, really difficult to tell where you are, but if you just think about squeezing it in a little bit, you're there. So your pelvic floor is lifted up a little bit, your tummy is squeezed in a little bit, and the other thing to know is your breathing. So you are going to be breathing in through your nose and blowing out through your mouth. When you're breathing in, you're breathing sideways into your ribs and blowing out. So your ribs should be expanding sideways. Your lungs are filling your ribs and they're expanding sideways. So you're not breathing up into your shoulders. You're not breathing in your tummy. You should be your ribs moving. They should be expanding sideways. So you're breathing in through your nose, blowing out through your mouth. That's the basics. So the position, everything being in the right place, the neutral spine, the pelvic floor and the tummy, really, really important, and the breathing. And please check back my next videos for more exciting news. Thank you.